I'm really honored to be able to address you as the closing keynote. And I will try to put together some of the lessons learned during this symposium and point out future directions to make the promise of nature-based solutions come true. But first, I would like to take a step back and look at how our perspective on nature conservation has changed over time. And this is important because the success of nature-based solutions is a fundamental shift in what nature means to us. And we've heard that in multiple talks today. So, for most of the 20th century, it was believed that nature conservation would be best achieved if we would close off our protected areas completely to all human activities, so nature for itself. And then at the start of this century, our perspective shifted to a more economic one. Nature for people, and in which nature was seen to provide valuable services, ecosystem services for humans. And although this view was important because it made people aware that nature had economic value, it did not stop the degradation of nature. Can you hear me? Is the mic right? Okay, yeah. It did not stop the degradation of nature. And the reason for that was that nature for people doesn't consider that when you take from nature, you also have to give back to nature. And this is how we arrived at a new paradigm, people and nature, in which the interdependency between people and nature is emphasized. So this perspective recognizes that nature plays a critical role in meeting our societal needs, and that's particularly the case on small islands. But it also emphasizes that we need to invest back in nature in order to maintain and restore natural health. And this is what we call nature-based solutions. If we give space to nature, and if we take care of nature, we can also employ nature for societal challenges that we find important. And particularly in the Caribbean islands, there is a high dependency on the natural resources, for example, for economic growth, including tourism-based revenues for livelihoods. And we should not forget the formidable challenge that the islands are facing in the light of climate change. Nature-based solutions are a crucial part of a strategy to protect the islands against the consequences of climate change. And although the islands are too small to make a significant impact in climate change reduction, implementing nature-based solutions will help to mitigate the devastating effect of climate change on the islands. So investing in nature-based solutions, that can generate societal and biodiversity benefits by restoring and recreating ecosystems. And here on the slide, you see one of the examples here on Aruba, where a wetland was created that was able to purify the wastewater from the nearby hotels. It has proven to become a fantastic bird sanctuary, while at the same time also improving human and environmental health because it is purifying the wastewater. However, it also illustrates that nature-based solutions are not for free. And maybe this is an unpopular thing to say, but I think it's true. So continued investments are necessary in nature-based solutions. And Bubali is a good example of that, because the waterways are being clogged up by water plants, which need to be removed regularly. The hotel sector is expanding, and that means that the capacity of the wetland should be increased. So we should see nature-based solutions as a long-term investment in nature. And the sustainable financial models that Arksen presented in his presentation earlier are absolutely crucial to do this successfully. Now, I want to debunk another misconception about nature-based solutions. You may think that nature-based solutions are easy solutions. Well, they are not. Nature is a powerful tool, and it can address many of our societal challenges. But of course, we cannot just use nature to justify any damage that we do to the environment and to compensate for that. Nature-based solutions can reverse the process of ecological degradation, and they can restore ecosystem services, but the natural resources on the islands are limited, right? So nature-based solutions cannot increase the natural resources that are there, and therefore they can also not facilitate unlimited economic growth. And so nature-based solutions work best if they go hand in hand with sustainable choices that take into account the carrying capacity of the islands. Okay, given that context, let's get more practical and look ahead. What is needed to make nature-based solutions a success? What can we learn from the projects that are already ongoing, and can we perhaps avoid any of the mistakes they may have made? For that, we need a framework that provides guidelines for the design, the verification, and the scaling up of nature-based solutions. And the IUCN has been doing fantastic work in describing such a framework. And as we've heard in the talk of Charles this morning, the IUCN global standards for best practice of nature-based solution are based on 8 sets of indicators that describe best practice for nature-based solutions. Well, of course, I'm not going to repeat them all. You'd be totally bored. But I am going to account to you 3 of the main messages of that whole document that I think is most relevant for the Caribbean situation. And the first of those points is the importance of evidence-based knowledge generation and knowledge sharing. So as we heard from Arno in the previous session, there are already so many existing projects going on. And whether these projects are run by volunteers or by park staff, all of these projects generate valuable knowledge, experience, data, and we can use all of that to help next projects, future projects, to not have to reinvent the wheel. And let's not forget the contribution that scientists can make to nature-based solutions. They can share and they can employ their ecological, economic, and social knowledge to improve nature-based solutions. And so what is important is that we build an open access scientific knowledge base that aligns the best practices and that can help all of the nature-based projects that are coming up. And of course, an organization like the DCNA would be excellently equipped to coordinate and manage such a database. Well, the second main point I would like to make is that the importance of prioritizing community values, community needs, and capabilities. And we've heard in the talk of Lawrence how important partnerships are. And I think the community is a very important partner in these nature-based solutions. We know that nature-based solutions work best when there is a high community engagement. And that can be achieved if their goals are aligned with local community values. And here on Aruba, for example, the call for no more hotels reflects a sentiment from a growing group of the local community. And in this, we should realize that that call could come from the realization that nature-based solutions provides diverse benefits, and not everybody prioritizes or evaluates these benefits equally. And so this really emphasizes the necessity to put effort and take care in making sure that the local community is actually not harmed or displaced by implementing these nature-based solutions. And finally, the third point I would like to drive home is the importance of robust monitoring and evaluation programs. In the Netherlands, we have a saying, meten is weten, and you translate that as measuring is knowing. And it's important to know, so we should measure. And so we should measure how well our interventions that we put in these projects, how well they are doing, right? And therefore we need to design some sort of, I would call it a dashboard, that at one glance shows us whether this project is meeting all the societal challenges that we intended it to do. And so biodiversity, economic use, human health, whatever the project is designed to do. And this way we can compare the state of nature before the project and after the project and see how well these interventions work. If they work well, we can use them to convince other people to also use nature-based solutions. And if some of the benefits are lagging behind, then we can use that to improve the project. Interestingly, such a dashboard can be used for a single project to see how it's doing, but it can also work on a larger scale, right? And show the cumulative effect of many nature-based solution projects on an island to see where the island may still be lacking a little bit of incentive in one of these societal challenges. As I highlighted at the start of the talk and was already mentioned in many of the previous talks, we need a shift in our perspective on nature. Summarizing everything we have heard today, I think this shift is coming, and small islands are actually excellently positioned to become frontrunners in nature-based solutions. Not only do they have small communities which would facilitate this participation of the local community, but also I feel that the momentum and awareness of the urgency of nature-based solutions is much higher on the islands than elsewhere. And finally, the high interconnectedness of processes on the islands makes that relatively small interventions can have large and direct impact on the environment. So, where to start? I'm now going to disagree slightly with Lawrence's talk, because he had a time frame of 100 years, and I think there is no time to waste. We should start now. So from my perspective, in the past years, I've been developing an approach together with many organizations on the different islands, and many of you are here today, actually. And this approach has a couple of key ingredients that would allow us to start really quickly. Our idea is to start from existing projects. As we've seen in Arno's overview, there are already so many, a plethora of initiatives, he said, going on, right? I don't think we need more initiatives, and also giving the capacity of people to staff these initiatives, that is probably not feasible. So why don't we strengthen these initiatives? Why don't we improve them? And then we can have really quick benefits. That would be the low-hanging fruit. And the other element I think is crucial is what we call a living lab approach. Well, that is actually an approach that engages stakeholders, but importantly, makes them work together with scientists, with researchers. So in a living lab approach, you have two cycles, the societal cycle and the research cycle, but these meet, these form an integrated unity of research-based and co-creation with the stakeholders. And the questions that the societal stakeholders have feed into the research, and the researchers then feed in their solutions into the societal cycle to make sure that actually this brings scientific answers to real societal problems and that they can really use. And in this way, this is a joint trajectory towards multi-perspective, community-supported solutions. And with the shared goal defined, then we can start to think about which steps do we need to really reach that goal. Of course, there's a larger goal, but there are many, many smaller steps that each of the stakeholders can take to, in the end, reach that larger goal. And during the week, only a week, unfortunately, that I was here on the island, I have met so many knowledgeable, enthusiastic, and committed people that I feel there is really the capacity to meet all these smaller steps and work towards this larger goal. And just to close off, I want to share with you a saying that one of these people I met shared with me. And the saying is about how you reach your goals on the islands. And so it goes as follows: if you see a possibility and you want to realize that on the islands, you don't kick in the door because it will slam right back into your face. What you do is you lean against that door. And if you lean long enough, that door will open a little bit and give you finally the opportunity to realize your possibilities. And what I would like to say is that we, all those committed and enthusiastic people, we should lean against that door of nature-based solutions. We should lean with all of our weight, with the whole community and all these stakeholders. And then the door will open and it will make us realize the possibility of a more resilient island society and ecology through effective nature-based solutions. Thank you.